Hi, you're listening to You Better Think, sponsored by Born Gypsy and hosted by Cass. Good evening, and thanks for joining us for this week's episode of You Better Think. As you know, we're talking about second chances from all kinds of points of view, and we're blessed to be with the poetess Sean L. with another wonderful work from her. Let's talk about second chances as it relates to not having them, not because someone is rejecting us, but because of loss. Many years ago, I wrote a song named Second Chances, and I dedicated it to my parents who were both deceased, because I wished I had a second chance to do things with them that I have not done, will never do, and also to experience them as a mature adult. I was in my mid-20s, I think, when my mom died. I was in my mid-30s when my dad died. I was fortunate enough, yes, to be an adult, but there are a lot of things that I have thought as I aged that, of course, did not cross my mind at the time. In particular, when my mother passed away, I was like the DJing, club going, always out there type of person, so I wasn't spending much time with her. I was calling her every couple of weeks to check on her, going by, Sundays to have dinner or go to church, but wasn't as engaged as I knew I would be today. My father, I'm separated for the family at a younger age, so even though he and I had a relationship and were seeing each other, it wasn't as frequent as it could be. And I did, again, not get that opportunity to do some things that I've thought of as I age. So that's where my song came from. And most of the people that surrounded me most of my life did, and some of them do have their parents. Those who lost their parents lost them at a much later age. So I was able to watch the relationships with my closest people and their parents and think of things that I might do or might not do as I watch them experience things. And what I do say to all people on that is you don't get a second chance. So be careful of the things that you say and that you do and that you don't. The words that you say that divide. Be conscious of words to use to unite. Take special care of those relationships. Even when you're angry, sometimes you gotta really look deep and say, okay, what would life be without so-and-so? I know I've faced situations where I've been angry at people and then something happens where one of us might get sick or something happens traumatic that the other runs to the other because all of a sudden nothing else matters. So sometimes I take myself and put myself in situations and say, what would life be without this person? Or what would life be 10 years from now with this person, potentially, if it goes on this same trajectory? I do sometimes, even though, of course, I'm at peace, with the life cycle, the cycle of life, however you want to phrase it. I do wish sometimes that I had a second chance. And the first line, I do remember a little of the song. Unfortunately, I lost it throughout the years. I wish I had a second chance to have you in my arms. That's there. Of course, there's much more. I don't remember it correctly, so I will spare y'all the pain of the brain. But the bottom line is second chances aren't always available, so pay attention. I could give so many more examples. Interviews, a lot of times you don't get second chances. First dates, pay attention. Be present. Enjoy, as I tell people, enjoy life to the fullest. Sometimes you don't get that second chance. You better think. Hi, you're listening to You Better Think, sponsored by Born Gypsy and hosted by Cass. Welcome back to this week's episode of You Better Think, hosted by Cass Allen and sponsored by Bullhorn Gypsy. Not sure if you all know an interesting fact that the show is generally recorded outdoors. If the weather is compromised, then the show is generally recorded where outdoors can be seen, because obviously I enjoy outdoors. I'm not sure if you all hear the pitter patter of the rain, because that's the experience I'm having right now. So if you hear it, you can enjoy it, tolerate it, because I'm enjoying it. So back to second chances. The poetess Sean L. brings up an interesting topic of actually being excited to give a second chance and then being regretful of that same action. Sometimes we do give second chances and we regret them and we go, damn it, I should have listened, or I should have, paid attention, or XYZ. I think there's another side of this which often is not explored. Sometimes those second chances that don't go well, maybe they did need to happen. Maybe somewhere in there we get to see our growth by not returning for a third. I certainly can think of some instances where I've experienced something where I said, wow, I've been here before. What am I going to do differently this time to have a better outcome? I now have a second chance to do something different than I did last time when I made a decision that wasn't so fruitful. I can certainly think of a situation, or plenty, that I handled in ways where I've said, oh, wow, I could have done this a little differently. And then faced with that situation, given that opportunity to show my growth. And sometimes it works, or it may even work for a while. And hey, then we fall off, right? That's when you get a lot of chances beyond a second chance. On the line of this topic, for maybe a couple of decades, I've always said that, I try to play things like baseball. 3 strikes and you're out. So I try not to get to 3 strikes. I've always had a general rule that once a person has an offense 2 times, that's it. You're out. Your second chance is your last chance. Of course, the rule doesn't fit every situation. And we know people in parental situations certainly go way beyond second chances with their cubs. Some cubs seem like they can do no wrong. The point here is that, it's important to know that sometimes you will give that second chance and things won't turn out the second way that you hope, and you will be regretful at times. But sometimes you're going to be very excited at the outcome. A part of life is simply choices. Basically, a large part of life is choice. Going down forks, all paths and mazes and puzzles all throughout our day, finding our way through our tasks and our goals and our mental goals as well. We give ourselves second chances when we make mistakes and we get up and try again. Sometimes we know not to do something a second time because the outcome the first time was quite clear that it shouldn't be repeated. But everything is not always going to be so clear cut and dry. We have to remember to leave some room to be human, and that in taking these second chances or not, sometimes we will flip the coin in a way where later in life we'll look and say, oh, I should have gone the other way. It's all good. Just keep it moving. And by that I mean, don't be so hard on yourself for your decisions. If in your heart, you're truly a good person trying to do good things and take time to think about what you're doing and not trying to hurt people, then take those chances, whatever they are, the first or the second, and don't look back. Hi, you're listening to You Better Think, sponsored by More Gypsy and hosted by Cass Allen. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of You Better Think. hosted by Cass Allen and sponsored by Bullhorn Gypsy. As I mentioned at the beginning of the show, we have the pleasure of being joined again by the poetess Chanel. So without further ado, let's bring her to the set so she can drop those words.
Second Chance by Poetess Chanel. You played yourself before, disappeared for years, then you popped up and claimed you were sincere. I had my doubts but gave you a chance. You promised me love and romance. Still didn't believe you, I felt it in my gut. You were still running around with the neighborhood slut. Your inconsistencies measured against what came out of your mouth. These investigative skills became handy to discover what I needed to find out. You're a snake and a liar, yes, you never changed. I should have hung up on you when you called me that day. Think because you level up, you could try to play me? I move in silence, and that's the best way to be. So I hope you know that you played yourself. All you did was push me in the arms of someone else. It was a blessing in disguise, you see, to have someone that appreciates me. When it's all said and done, you will reap what you sow. I'm glad I didn't wind up grinding on that pole. It would have been devastating to me. That's why now I'm taking a vow of celibacy. My cookie is on sabbatical until further notice, until the right person comes along who really deserves it. No more second chances for anyone in my past. Don't even think about crossing my path. Second chances are now obsolete. It's about moving forward, making plans to succeed. So now that I've learned my lesson, it's time to take the road to go where I'm destined.
Hi, you're listening to You Better Think, sponsored by Bullhorn Gypsy and hosted by Cass Allen. Thank you for joining us for this week's episode of You Better Think, hosted by Cass Allen, sponsored by Bullhorn Gypsy. This week we're talking about second chances, a topic selected by the poetess Chanel to explore this month. Let's talk about second chances that we don't think we want. Many times in life, things happen where we say, I'll never do that again. Whatever the reasons. Usually it's because it's something that was, not pleasant. Something happened and an action where we're embarrassed or we get angry or we feel betrayed. Whatever the reason, we say never again are we going to put ourselves in XYZ situation. It may even have something to do with a talent of ours, something that we explore and then we're about to explore and something happens that makes us say, I'm not doing this. I have a friend who has an amazing talent that she used earlier in her life, and something happened where she said she would never use that talent again, and she went a very long time, many, 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 many years, which we can count on more than two hands, and I think maybe count those two hands a couple of times around, all because of a traumatic experience that she had. She shut down a talent, a gift. Somehow we ended up on the subject, which is how I learned about it. And I was amazed. And I understood the withdrawal. Interestingly enough, the very talent that we spoke of is a talent that I would come to need very shortly thereafter and would discuss with her. I discussed it from the point of friendship, just talking about things on my to-do list. And suddenly, out of nowhere, I heard her voice volunteer to help. She volunteered to help with the very thing that she had shut down many, many years ago. Inside, I was doing every dance I had learned from childhood forward. I was so fucking happy for my friend. But outside, I was nonchalant because I didn't want to put any big limelights on it and make her maybe crawl away. So I said, all right, that would be cool. And baby, this woman served up gift on a platter that's just endless. She got a second chance to share herself, and I'm so grateful for her journey that she got that second chance and took it. I would have never imagined the role that I would play in her life and be in that portal for her to ignite that gift again. Sometimes we are the second chance that people need by the way we treat them. A lot of times people have bad experiences with things and they shut down, and they need a kind or kindred soul near them to spark them. And I'm glad I was able to be that for my friend whom I love dearly. And may she continue her journey. As you all know, if I tell a story, I don't use a name. If I use a name, I don't tell a story. So friend, I know you're out there listening. I'm very, very excited about your journey. I love you very much, and anything I can do for you along the way to help you continue to feel safe as you express yourself, I'm there. You better think. Hi, you're listening to You Better Think, sponsored by Born Gypsy and hosted by Cass Allen. Welcome back to this week's episode of You Better Think, hosted by Cass Allen and sponsored by Born Gypsy. We have the pleasure to be discussing a poem by the poetess Sean L. named Second Chance. As always, she's graced us with her presence this month, and we like to dissect her work from various angles, or either use it as a springboard to go into other areas related to said subject. We've been discussing second chances from various angles, from the standpoint of when they are a good idea, when they are not, when they might seem to be and then lead to not, from various relationship levels, friends, family, loved ones. Let's talk about second chances when it relates to affairs of the heart. Sometimes we have an interest in someone and we may not profess it for whatever reasons. We're shy. That person may appear to be with someone, may not appear to be interested. Whatever the reason, you may not feel you have a shot, the timing, etc. And it tugs at your heart, even though you didn't take that opportunity. And then imagine having another opportunity to profess your heart. There are times where we feel things and we go, oh, I must be crazy. No, it can't possibly be true. Oh, I can't get this person out of my mind. But neither one of us has said anything, so maybe there's nothing there. A lot of times quite the opposite is going on. Something is there, which is why it's burning. You have energy with someone. You have a connection so strong that you can't get them out of your mind because you can't get each other out of each other's minds. And I'm not talking about psychotic cases and people who think everybody they meet is in love with them. I'm talking about that real shit where you're on fire and you can feel that flame when you look at that person. Or you might even say something to the person and they may say no. They may reject your offers for whatever reasons, and then there may come that same opportunity again where those reasons don't seem like enough reasons, or those reasons may no longer even exist. I personally used to be very shy and would have feelings for women and not say anything, looking like a blokey doke, just standing next to them all calm and cool and smiling and never saying a thing. But with time, I've changed, and I'm at a point in my life now where I feel like I tell people, you got a 50-50 chance of whatever opportunities that you feel exist for you. There's a yes or a no at that moment. Then you get a 50-50 chance somewhere else if that opportunity doesn't work out for you. Those are some pretty damn good odds, right? We played a lottery where the odds are stupendously against us and we throw our money at it just convinced we just might win. But we got a 50-50 chance. So I say, be honest with your feelings and be mature about it. And you never know what could happen, whether, it leads to an opportunity or not. At least you can walk away saying you were honest with your feelings, and whomever the person is of interest is aware of how you feel, so you know that you presented the opportunity. It might surprise you sometimes. So I say, if you have a second chance to express a fear of the heart, I suggest you speak the fuck up. Hi, you're listening to You Better Think, sponsored by Born Gypsy and hosted by Cass Allen. Welcome back to this week's episode of You Better Think, hosted by Cass Allen and sponsored by Bill Horn Gypsy. This month we're discussing second chances, inspired by the poem by the poetess Sean L., who we've had the privilege of joining us these past few months. Let's talk about second chances from the standpoint of not taking them. Sometimes we think we want second chances to do things. We think that because we want something and the first time around it may not have gone the way we wanted it to, that we're supposed to try again. Hey, we all know the term, if first you don't succeed, try again. Everything's not meant for a second rodeo, and sometimes we don't realize initially that we're not meant to do something again, and we find ourselves putting a lot of energy into trying to repeat something or get the opportunity to try something again, accomplish something again. Sometimes we get so caught up in having our way that we forget that perhaps our way is not exactly the best way, or perhaps we need to modify our trial. Perhaps what we're trying to do is unreasonable, impossible. Sometimes what we're trying to do just isn't meant to be. It's not in our cards. We do a lot of talking about, what's meant for you, no one can take away. But how about what's not meant for you that you keep going for? If the same applies, you'll never get it, no matter what path you go down, because it's not meant for you. Sometimes we're protected from our own jewels, our own goals, our own prizes, our own desires, because what we think is good for us is actually detrimental. Sometimes we get a taste of something, a piece of something, and it's wonderful, and we want more. But sometimes we don't realize that once we begin to delve into more, a different picture unfolds, and that more is not as pretty as that little bit of more. That bigger piece of more doesn't taste so good. Think about eating something and overeating it until you no longer want it. Sometimes that's what happens when we end up in situations where we think we want more. Okay, I think this is a good time to break this up and bring you all a little music so we can all take a break, refresh our beverages, get a little snack, bio breaks, whatever. So as you all know, some of you know who've been listening, I like to dabble in music. So we're going to put on a track I produce while we all take a break. Welcome back to this week's episode of You Better Think, hosted by Cass Allen. We've been talking about second chances, and for my last take on this subject, I'll share a personal account. I was in school, high school, excelling, A's everywhere, except in the sciences. I had no inclination for the sciences growing up. Anytime I could opt out of a science class, I did. Whatever excuse my mother could think of for me, petrified, never dissected the frogs, none of that. Had no interest in the elements. Just sciences did nothing for me. So I basically ignored them. And as you could imagine, it cost me, because in those subjects I was getting lower grades. I probably averaged 70 something pretty much throughout all of the times I had to experience the courses. Once I reached high school, imagine this, honor student, no need to go into the details. I mean, like, big deal. Here we are. Sciences, Cass just doesn't care. And I began to fail the classes, even though I was getting 90s, 95s, 98s and everything else, 80, whatever. I was really good in school, but I did not like the sciences, and people thought it was so odd that I could not get the grades. And they had no idea it wasn't because I didn't give a damn and I wasn't reading those books. I had zero interest. But anyway, there came a time where administration came to me and told me I would not be graduating, even though I was amazing, because I had to finish these classes, which I had already failed. And it was the last year. They said, Cass, you can go to summer school. Take those classes, and if you pass them, you'll get your degree. They said, we're going to give you that second chance. That second chance. And of course, something in me clicked, because I have to do this now in order to excel to the next level. So naturally, I took those courses, and I excelled because I read those damn books. So as I was saying earlier, be thankful for those second chances sometimes, because they can make all the difference and change your life. Had I not taken that second chance, I probably would have been in some type of remedial school, or I would have been repeating the 12th grade for no damn reason at all. Another layer to this is sometimes we're going to have to do things we don't really want to do, like me with these science classes. When we reject them the first time, sometimes it actually is a mistake. We need that second chance. Now, that's enough of my bullshit for the month. It's been a fun subject. Hi, you're listening to You Better Think, sponsored by Gypsy and hosted by Cass Allen. Welcome back to this week's episode of You Better Think, hosted by Cass Allen and sponsored by Bullhorn Gypsy. This week we had the pleasure of hearing the words of the poetess Sean L. as it relates to second chances, and of course I've been expanding on it and having some fun with my little dry humor and my more like contemplative conversation. I enjoy coming to you all each week and not only putting a show forward, but actually engaging and getting you all to think. That is the purpose here, not to get you all to agree, but to get you all to think. Some of you may have heard last week's episode, which was about family ties, and I'll tell you, it caused quite a stir, to the point where people, I basically would say, were losing their damn minds. Some people loved the show. Some people laughed at the show. Some people think I need mental therapy. But nevertheless, this is the fun part for me. Everybody's thinking. Someone asked me if I had a second chance, would I change the way I did the show? Because of the stir it caused, and I did take some time to think about it. I figured I may as well just address it on the air since it relates to the topic. If I had a second chance to change the way I delivered the show last month, I wouldn't change a damn thing. That's the whole purpose of this show, to be truthful and honest and explore, just as we have with all of our guests, and just as poetess Chanel delivers to us every month. If you'll notice in her words, they are not happy endings and neither are they tragedies. They are life, which show the ups and the downs. It's the roller coaster. It's the real deal. And that's what you're going to get here now. I know some people said I was out of control in their opinion. We all have an opinion, and I'm totally thrilled that these things have come forth, because I want people to understand that's what I want you to do. I want you to think. I want you to agree or disagree, perhaps add something or bring something to the table that can change some minds or improve the way we as people not only interact with each other, but as how we are building the universe. We're all basically like knitters, and we're all knitting our little fabrics into this planet and forming this amazing web of things, if you will. Every day I look to who I believe to be the universe master and ask for guidance and purpose and things that I should be giving and taking each day, and I do my best to follow that path. And as I tell people, only I truly know what's going on in my life and what's beneficial for me. The world here is a show. You hear an hour recap of years of activity in all kinds of subjects. Don't get hysterical here, people. Relax yourselves. This is not a show to make people lose their damn minds. If you need to if you dropped your brain, I suggest you pick it up and perhaps not be listening to this episode. As I said, the point here is for us to have a platform where people can speak and people can feel whatever it is they need to feel, as long as it's not hateful. At no time during my show last week did I practice hate. Not at all. I can guarantee you that, because that's really not something that I have explored much in my life. But I do know what it feels like, so I know what I was feeling last month, excuse me. I was very, very excited, very passionate, and obviously I still need to work with volume control. But nevertheless, people, as I said, I do enjoy you coming back at me with the bullshit, and I bring you the bullshit sometimes, and we have a place to have fun, and we have a place to learn and grow. This format is not for people to put on grease on their face and razor blades in their hair and big rings on their fingers and start running. Because everybody knows Cass will call the police on your ass in a minute. Don't play with me. This is a place for us all to engage and have fun and think. So you better think. Hugs. Hi, you're listening to You Better Think, sponsored by Born Gypsy and hosted by Cass Allen. Welcome back to this month's episode of You Better Think, hosted by Cass Allen and sponsored by Bullhorn Gypsy. Today we had the pleasure of hearing the beautiful words of the poetess Sean L. as we have been hearing since the show started. The topic has been second chances, and as you see, it can relate to so many things, basically anything in our life. We hope you enjoyed the show this month, and we have a surprise for you next month. The poetess Chanel will be officially joining me as a co-host. It's going to get even more interesting. Good night, everyone.